Hi, I'm Sarah and this is my channel, So Sarah Sewed. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing everything I made in the months of April and May. I made quite a few things in April and May. I have some sewing for myself to share, some sewing for some other people, and a couple of knitted items, including the one I'm wearing, but I'll get onto that later. So let's start with the sewing. Last year, around September or October, I think, I put in a pre-order for some Dupes Designs jerseys. I absolutely love their designs, and I was especially wanting to make myself another top to wear under Ora Pinafores. So I got 2 jerseys in this order. I didn't realize at the time, but these ones ended up being a lighter jersey than I was expecting. I think Dupes has 2 different weights of jersey, and this one I believe is the lighter weight one. It took me ages to choose which design I would like, but I ended up going for this pink and green hearts fabric, hearts and diamonds, which I think is really, really cute. I wanted to choose a fabric that would go equally well with my navy blue cord Ora Pinafore, and I also knew I was going to be making a black and white twill one, which ends up looking grey from a distance. So this is the Freya top. It's in the Tilly and the Buttons stretch book, and I made it in a size 6. So this book's patterns only go up to a size 8, so it is limited in sizing. My measurements put me into a size 5, but with the Freya, I like it to not be completely skin tight, so I went up to a size 6 for this one. I did make one adjustment with this Freya. So it has this neckband that in the pattern goes up quite a bit higher, but I find that that's just a bit too high on my neck. So I was finding with my other ones that I was turning it under to get a more comfortable height. So this one I just reduced the neckband, and you can see in the pictures where it ends up on me, which is very comfortable. I did put a tag in this one. It says finished just in time, and honestly the only reason I picked it was because I thought the colours went well. So I don't have an overlocker, I do everything just on my normal machine, and this came together really nicely just using zigzag stitches. Of course it doesn't look as neat on the inside as it would if it were overlocked, but I've washed this several times and it's fine. No problems. Dupes actually moved for a little while this year to a print-on-demand service. They had so many different fabric types to choose from. I think there were 21, and then you could choose from a great big library of their own artwork that you could have printed on any of their fabrics. That has come to an end now, and they're going back to their pre-order model. I'll put their website in the description box in case you're interested in following along and seeing what other designs they have. I did actually buy one more jersey when I put this order in. This one I only bought 1 meter of, and I ended up making it into just a simple tee. This one is just a really bright floral print on a very dark background. I'm not sure if it's a very dark navy or if it's a black, but it's the same lightweight jersey as the other one, and I made this into a Jackson tee by Helen's Closet. I made a Jackson pullover earlier in the year, and for that one I decided to size up for a more oversized fit. But for this t-shirt, I just went with a size that lined up with my body measurements, which from memory was a 14, I think. So this is just a very simple t-shirt. It's quite a boxy look. I went with the longer length hemline. I made this one in April, and that's pretty much when the weather started cooling down a little bit. So I haven't really worn it a lot, but I feel like this is going to get lots of wear just casually in the summer months. It's a very fun one. There's not much else to say about this t-shirt. It's a really good pattern. I love Helen's Closet patterns. They're always really well explained. But what's really good about this t-shirt compared to some of my other t-shirts is that the neckband sits at a really comfortable point for me. It's not too high, it's not scooped. It's just a really good placement of the neckband. So I would recommend this pattern if you haven't tried it and you're looking for a t-shirt pattern. So I mentioned my second Ora Pinafore before. I bought the fabric for this pinafore last September because I was wearing my navy blue one so much and I thought it would be good to have another one. So I went to the fabric store in Melbourne for my very first visit, and I found a beautiful blend of hemp and cotton twill. And it's got a nice weight to it, but it's not too heavy. So I thought this could be a really good one for wearing across a few different seasons. And then the weather, of course, started to warm up, and I thought I wouldn't really be looking to wear my Ora Pinafores all that much anymore for a while. I actually ended up cutting it, but then it didn't get sewn up until April this year. So the Ora Pinafore is a pattern by Soften Studio, and it is a very relaxed fit, long pinafore with a V-neck at the front and at the back. You can choose between patch pockets or inseam pockets, and there are optional bust darts depending on your size. The top is lined with a facing, and then the hem is lined with a facing as well. Now, this pattern is very long on someone of my height. I am about 160 centimeters tall, so I took 6 inches off mine, and I ended up just taking it off the hem. So that meant I needed to work out a new facing for the hemline because the original pattern's one was too big. So that was a little bit of work, but I did that for my old one. So I had that ready to go, but it's just something to keep in mind if you are shortening this pattern. It probably doesn't really need a hem facing, but I do like that sort of extra weight that gives to help the swinginess of this pattern. I used the same fabric for this one. I just used the same twill fabric to make the facing for the hemline, but I used a cotton linen for the bodice facing and also to line the pockets. So I've had a heap of wear out of this one already. I think I wear my Ora Pinafores at least once a week. If you've watched any of my Me Made May videos, you will see that I have talked about them quite a bit because I would have worn at least one of them each week, probably even each of them in some weeks. I have already worn this with both t-shirts and also with tops like the Freya sweater, and I just find it a really versatile and comfortable pattern, and I'm really pleased I added another one into my wardrobe. I also tried a brand new pattern this month, a pattern I'd never tried before and a pattern designer I'd never tried before. And this is the Tiama Skirt by Caledonia Dreamin', which is a French pattern designer. Now, this pattern has 2 views. You can either make it as an overall dress, like a pinafore, or as a high-waisted skirt. And it was the skirt option that really appealed to me. You might have heard me talk before about trying to get more wear out of my jumpers and tops. And while I have a lot of pinafores, I don't have a lot of bottoms that I find mix well with some of my jumpers. So this skirt was a really appealing pattern. I have a really big length of green corduroy that I was given that I used for a toile for this pattern. And I found my toile to be quite a bit too big. And it's interesting, when I looked at the testers versions of the skirt on the designer's Instagram page, in my opinion, I think quite a few of them are too big. They don't sit the same way as the designer's does. Not all of them, but some of them. So if you're interested in looking at those, you can do that. And I'm wondering if maybe this size would have been good if I'd gone with the pinafore, just had that little bit of extra room around the waist. But for the skirt version, you need it snug around the waistband. I definitely had at least 2 inches of spare space at the waist. So I decided to make another one, but size down 1 size. Now this should have been too small for me, but it ended up being perfect. This one I made in a fabric I bought from My Design. It's an Atelier brunette fabric, and it's called the Velvet, Dandy Velvet I think it's called, in a rust colorway. And it's got this grid line pattern through it that you can see. The other adjustment I had to make to get it to a point where I was happy with was I had to take off 2 inches from the length. I found it to be much too long in the original form, and because it's so high-waisted, I thought it looked unbalanced. So I took 2 inches off the bottom. I really should have taken the same amount off the lining, but I didn't. I think I'd already hemmed it when I decided to do that, and I didn't go back and take any more off. Sorry if you can sometimes hear that noise. It sounds like my washing machine is about to try and fly away, but hopefully it'll calm down in a minute. So it's a lined skirt I've used a rayon lining from Spotlight that I think goes really well. It fits underneath when I'm standing up. When I sit down, sometimes that lining does poke through, but it's usually fine. The fastening is a zip at the back. It's not an invisible zip. It just sits there. And there you can see the lining. The instructions I found really good. I decided on my next version. So I just find that sometimes this lining, it creeps up. So you can see there's the top of the skirt, and you can see that that lining sort of, sorry everybody, I had a bit of a camera accident. I'm going to blame that washing machine. So I might be in a slightly different position to before. But as I was saying, the lining pokes up. So on my next version, which I have actually already made, and I will share in my June makes video, I understitched on the lining, and then I also stitched in the ditch in a couple of places, in quite a few places actually. There's darts at the front. So on the next one, I stitched in the ditch down the darts, and at the side seams, just to keep that lining really nicely in place. So I would do that in any other versions that I made. But yes, I've found this to be a really comfortable skirt. The fabric's beautiful. It's really nice to touch, and I'm happy with this pattern. As I mentioned, I also made some clothes for other people this month. It was my sister's birthday in April, and if you watched my week of making in April video, you will have already had a sneak peek of these patterns. But I wanted to include them in this video as well. So my sister has two little girls. They are 3 years old and 8 months old now. And like many people with new babies, she was finding it hard to find clothes that work for her lifestyle and fit well and things that she liked. So I decided to make her a jumper for her birthday. I used the Helen's Closet Jackson pullover for her. I decided to size down one from the size I'd made myself earlier in the year, and this time I also made the cropped view. I bought some beautiful French terry, the See You at 6 French terry from My Design, in a very pastel-y colorway, which really suits her. I also bought the See You at 6 ribbing to match, which is kind of in a minty green colorway. So this was a big hit. She really, really loves this jumper. I thought it would be really cute to add a couple of surprises into her present too. She knew I was making her a jumper. She didn't know the design, but she also didn't know I was going to add some extra surprises in. So for her two girls, I made them matching jumpers as well. I had enough of the See You at 6 French terry to get a bodice out for each of the girls. I used the Tadah Patterns Baby Basics drop sleeve sweater for each of them. I made a size 3 for my 3-year-old niece, and I made a size 6 to 12 months for my other niece. So they both got the floral bodice, and then they both got their sleeves made in the lilac French terry that I had left over from my own. I had enough of the green ribbing left over to use for one of them, and then the other girl got the purple ribbing. I think these turned out so cute. I actually really love the look of the floral bodice, the purple sleeves, and then the green cuffs on my little baby niece's version. But I think they look really sweet all together, and I know that my sister loves matching with her girls, and they all wear them quite regularly together. So the Tadah Patterns Baby Basics drop sleeve sweater comes in a size range of, I think, 5 zeros to 3, but they also have a pattern that is in a children's size range as well. It's a really good pattern. There are options in this pattern to have a hood, to have a kangaroo pocket, to splice the bodice so you can do some different color play. I thought about doing that, but because I had enough large pieces of the floral, I would just go with a very basic, simple, plain bodice. Just a word on the See You at 6 fabric. I'd never used it before. I found the French terry to be a really nice quality, and I really enjoyed using it. When I compare the ribbing with the ribbing that I already had, which was a My Design cotton elastane ribbing, I prefer the My Design. The green ribbing, it wasn't as quite a tight weave, if I'm describing that correctly. It was just a little bit more floppy. I just prefer, I felt like the quality of the My Design one was better. It might not be a quality thing, it might just be a preference thing, but I definitely preferred working with the tighter weave rib from My over that See You at 6 ribbing. So personally, I wouldn't buy that See You at 6 ribbing again, and I would end up just buying a complementary colour from My Design or Wattle Hill Fabrics. All right, and now moving on to my knitted items. I'll start with the one I'm wearing. This is the Ghost Whisperer top by Park Williams from Park and Knit. This is knit with one strand of mohair throughout, apart from the neck and the cuffs that you knit with 2 strands. And it's knit on quite big needles, I think 6.5 millimeters or something like that. So you end up with this very, very loose gauge, and very see-through product. I love the way this has turned out. This took me ages. It really shouldn't have, but I cast on last year and then other projects took over, usually ones that had a time frame, like they were knit-alongs, and so they were more, I was keen to keep up with those time frames. And then this one sort of, I just picked up every now and again. Once I decided, all right, now it's time to just get this one done, it was very quick, probably a few weeks at most. And especially once I separated the sleeves, it was really quick. So this one you knit from the bottom, and the first thing you do is you knit up to where the underarm is, and you knit as many inches as you want that underarm to be. Now for my size, the suggestion was, I think, 7.5 inches. I ended up making mine about 10. And you can see from the pictures in the video that it's quite short. And if I'd made it 7.5, for my own comfort, it would have been too short. I wouldn't have ever worn it. This is pretty much as short as I would want to go for a top. I have worn it today just over a neutral coloured tank top, and I would like to experiment with trying it with other things. I think what goes well with a black one underneath too. I tried that on one morning, and what I would like to do though is try it over a dress. And I think I'd like to make some kind of simple black dress that I can wear this as an overlayer for and get more wear out of it that way. But it was a lovely pattern. It's got these beautiful puff sleeves, which were simple. They look complicated, but they were really simple. The thing I found hardest about this pattern was that I had decided to use metallic needles, and knitting with one strand of silk mohair on metal needles was extremely slippery. So if you are thinking about making this pattern, I would go for it, but I would use a wooden needle for this pattern. So the hem is an I-cord finish, and so is the neckline. And yeah, I think it looks really cute, and I love this color. I used a Rowan brand Kid Silk, and I'm very happy with how it's come up. It's a very delicate top, and I'm not sure when I'll first get a chance to wear it. Probably when the weather starts warming up a little bit. It's a sort of top I might wear to something on a weekend. I wouldn't wear it to school. Honestly, maybe mainly because at school I have to wear lanyards with keys, and that's just a recipe for disaster with this kind of top. So I'm looking forward to finding an opportunity to wearing it when the weather warms up a little bit. I'm going to have to finish this video later because I'm off to a sewing catch-up this afternoon, and it is time to leave. So I will talk about my final pattern, which is a shawl, hopefully later tonight. I'll see you then. Okay, I'm back. I've had a lovely afternoon and now I'm back and I've got time to quickly talk to you about my last project, which was a knitted shawl. I decided this year to take part in a mystery knit along run by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. What we knew about the pattern was that you needed 4 skeins of yarn, 3 kind of in a fade and then 1 pop of colour, and that the design was somewhat influenced by William Morris designs. So there were a lot of inspiration pictures of William Morris artwork, and it all looked very interesting. And also we knew it was called 24 Birds. The mystery knit along kicked off at the end of March and it ran for 6 weeks. There were 6 weeks of a clue being released every week. It took me about 8 or 9 weeks to finish mine. I didn't keep up. I think I kept up for about 4 weeks and then I fell behind after that. So the yarns I got were part of a kit put together for this particular knit along, and I went with a kit from Skein Yarn because I'd been so happy with the kit that I received from them for my Hyber knit along, and yeah, it was absolutely beautiful and soft, and I really loved the way the colours worked together, so I thought I'd give them a go again. So mine are blues and then with a pop of pink, a bit of a corally pink, and I'll show it to you. Now, obviously I'll put in some pictures that will better show the shawl because it's really hard to show. And as you can see, maybe, it's a circular shawl. So that was the first thing we found out when we started knitting on the first day of knit along, that this was going to be a circular shawl or a pie shawl. I've never made one of these before, so that was a new experience for me. So you had to start in the center and knit out. So the cast on was a little bit fiddly. Didn't love the cast on. But after a few rounds of increases, it was comfortable to knit. It was really enjoyable seeing this inner pattern come out. And I do really love the effect of the shawl overall. However, it wasn't the most enjoyable knit for me. And I think there were a couple of reasons. The first one being that because it was a circular shawl, you're knitting in the round the whole time and you can't get a sense of the shawl. You don't really see the design emerging because it's too bunched up on the needles. And I think that's what I've really enjoyed about mystery knit-alongs in the past, is seeing this design emerge. And so you sort of lacked that. I mean, you could kind of see it, but not in the same way. And the other thing was that it was just quite a repetitive lace pattern throughout. So unlike the Hyber knit along, which I think was probably my favorite thing I've ever knit because it was so varied and it kept changing, this was very, it felt a little bit monotonous to me. I mean, it's so beautiful and soft and I do really like the way it looks. However, for me, this is quite a difficult shawl to wear. So doubled over, it's like this, but then it's quite hard to wrap it around myself in a way that I want to. So someone has suggested getting a shawl pin and being able to pin it so that I don't have to hold it. Other ways I've seen these worn are sort of like this, which is quite nice. But I do like having things wrapped around my shoulders, but I'll probably wear this one more like this and under jackets and things like that. But it was fun to participate in a knit along. Overall, I'm happy with it and I'm proud of it. But yeah, I probably wouldn't make another circular shawl just because I prefer wearing nice long ones that I can wrap around myself a little bit more easily. So that is everything I made in April and May. So thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you've liked seeing what I made, and I will look forward to sharing again in my next video. Bye bye.